let's talk about one of humanity's biggest, most ambitious ideas yet. It's something straight out of science fiction, but it's getting closer to reality every day. We're talking about the new gold rush, the quest to mine asteroids. Okay, to really get your head around the scale here, let's just start with a number. $700 quintillion. That's a 7 with 20 zeros after it. And that's the estimated value of the metals inside just one asteroid, called 16 Psyche. I mean, that's so much money, it could give every single person on Earth something like $93 billion. It's just insane. And you have to remember, 16 Psyche is just one rock out of millions. So it really forces you to ask this wild question that kind of flips everything we know about wealth on its head. Let's dig in and see what this new frontier is all about. So, why are we even looking up there? What's the big deal? Well, this cosmic gold rush, it's about way more than just getting rich. It's actually about trying to solve some of the biggest problems we have right here at home. I mean, think about how we mine now. We carve these enormous holes in the planet, we use a ton of fresh water, and a lot of the time we're dealing with pretty toxic stuff. We're starting to run low on some crucial minerals, and countries are always fighting over who gets the last bits. Asteroid mining, though, it's a totally different playbook. You're tapping into a supply that's practically infinite, all with a much, much smaller environmental hit to Earth. And the upsides are huge. We're talking about taking the pressure off our global supply chains, getting all the rare metals we need for green tech, think solar panels, electric cars, all that good stuff. We could even start building things in space, for space, using space materials. And yeah, as some folks like Neil deGrasse Tyson have pointed out, the world's first trillionaire, they're probably not going to make their money on Earth. So if the payoff is that big, why aren't we already out there with space shovels? Well, it turns out the challenges are just as massive as the opportunities. This is not going to be easy. Yeah, this is a little more complicated than the old pickaxe and shovel routine. First, you gotta find the right rock. So you'd send out swarms of smart, AI-driven probes to scout them out. Once you've got your target, you launch the big mission. Then you have these incredible robots that have to land on a spinning chunk of rock in zero-G, hold on for dear life, and start digging. And finally, you have to decide, do you process the materials right there, or do you haul it all the way back to Earth? And prospectors are on the lookout for three main types of asteroids, because they're not all the same. Most of them, about 75%, are C-types. These are full of water, which is basically the key to everything in space. You can turn it into rocket fuel or use it for life support. Then you've got your S-types, which are packed with stuff like iron and nickel, perfect for building things in orbit. But the real jackpot, that's the M-types. They're rare, but they're loaded with the good stuff. Gold, platinum, all the precious metals we need for our high-end tech. But look, none of this is a walk in the park. The upfront cost is just staggering. We're talking billions easy. The technology has to survive brutal radiation, crazy temperatures, and the weirdness of working in zero gravity. And to top it all off, there are basically no rules. Our big space treaty is from 1967. It's the Wild West up there, legally speaking. And this quote points to what might be the single most terrifying risk of all, something called the Kessler syndrome. See, every mission leaves behind junk, and in orbit, a tiny piece of debris is a bullet. If one of those bullets hits something, it creates more debris, which then hits more things, and you get this chain reaction that could surround Earth in a lethal cloud of shrapnel, trapping us here for generations. Okay, but let's just imagine for a second that we figure it all out. We overcome the challenges. If we actually succeed, well, it would send a shockwave through the global economy that would change absolutely everything. Think about it. For all of human history, our economies have been based on one simple idea: scarcity. Things like gold and platinum are valuable because they're hard to find. So what happens when they're not? What happens when you can just go get a mountain of it? One analysis found that we could, with today's tech, bring back enough platinum to totally crash the global market. This chart really puts that disruption into perspective. Look at that first bar. The entire global market for raw materials right now is about $660 billion, okay? Now look at the second bar. The estimated profit from just the 10 easiest to reach asteroids is more than double that, $1.5 trillion. And then there's 16 Psyche. That's 700 quintillion. It literally breaks the chart. It's a number that our current economy has no way to even process. And this isn't just some wild theory. Researchers at Tel Aviv University actually ran a simulation to see what would happen. In their model, just one decent-sized shipment of minerals from an asteroid caused the price of gold on Earth to plummet by 50%. That kind of crash could set off, as they put it, a global struggle for resources and power. So how in the world do you prepare for an economic future that's so completely alien to anything we've ever known? Well, turns out, millions of us are already exploring it every time we play a video game. This is where it gets really interesting. The gaming industry, on one hand, is a huge customer for the exact kind of metals we'd get from asteroids. You need that high-purity stuff for better computer chips and graphics cards. But at the same time, these massive online games have become the perfect sandboxes for simulating the kinds of economies we might see in a spacefaring future. Right. Take a game like EVE Online. Its economy is legendary because it's almost completely run by the players. The developers didn't build big marketplaces. They just scattered resources around the galaxy and let the players figure it out. And what happened? Players naturally formed their own trade hubs, their own supply routes, their own corporations, just like in the real world. And that's just one model. A game like Star Citizen is trying a different approach. They have this AI system they call Quanta that simulates a background economy. So you have all these AI ships and characters buying, selling, and moving cargo around. It creates this living, breathing universe that reacts to what players do, which could be a pretty amazing blueprint for how a real space economy might work. You end up with this really cool feedback loop. We need resources from asteroids to build faster computers and better GPUs. And what do we do with all that new power? We build more realistic and complex simulations of mining asteroids and running a space economy. The virtual world and the real world are literally pushing each other forward. When you put it all together, the tech, the crazy economics, even the lessons from video games, it's clear we're standing at the edge of a major turning point for our species. And it feels like we're facing a fork in the road. Down one path is this incredible promise. A future where human progress isn't tied to the limited resources of just one planet. An era of abundance. But down the other path is the danger that we just take all our old, bad habits with us. Our fights over resources, our politics, our greed, and just export them to a much bigger stage. You know, the technology for this is moving so fast, way faster than our laws or our ethics. And with the first real prospecting missions on the horizon, we have to ask ourselves a pretty serious question. Are we about to unlock a limitless future for everyone, or are we just getting ready to fight the same old wars on a whole new battlefield?